our first member up is going to be Garrett. Garrett, where are you? Everybody give him a round of applause. Thank you so much for coming. All right. Also, thank you guys for coming and being here live and in person. I feel sorry for everybody on the audience out there, the online audience, that it's missing the interactions that go on at case studies and the networking that occurs. There's truly a lot of value to being able to talk to people that are of a similar mindset and bounce ideas and questions. I was telling somebody earlier, I don't think that there's ever a case study or a networking opportunity that I attend live that I don't learn something new. So I always encourage everybody to try to come out live for things. But Garrett, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
Well, I'm in the oil and gas business, so I work 14 days on, 14 days off. So I'm completely gone from my family for those 14 days. So the good part is I only work 6 months out of the year.
Okay.
So.
Anybody else relate to that? Have a strenuous work schedule? Got some hands up. All right. And so how did you hear about Lifestyles?
Just one of those days driving around and heard it on the radio.
Heard it on the radio. That is how most people do hear about it. So what made you decide to turn off your radio and come and see what we were actually about and listen to the message and follow the path?
Well, being in the oil and gas business, there's ups and downs, and I've already suffered 2 or 3 of those, and so it's feast or famine, so I said there's got to be another way. Got to be another way.
I don't know. I just always heard that, oil, you're rich. I'm thinking of like Dallas, J.R. Ewing. No? It's not like that? You're not driving a Cadillac with longhorns on the front?
Well, you do that for a little while.
Okay, just for a little while.
Then you got to sell it off.
Now all these cars are electric with batteries. Okay, so you were working ungodly hours and you were away from your family and you decided, hey, there has to be another way. And you heard it on the radio and you're like, hey, I'm going to give it a chance. Now, did you have any previous experience with real estate? Had you done flips or rehabs or anything to that extent before coming here?
Not a thing other than my own personal residence.
All right. So this is your first property. It's on Orphan. That property before definitely looks like it's an orphan.
Yeah.
It was abandoned by its
parents. That's my sewer
parents.
brown house there.
So, but again, when you did the fix-up, you didn't do anything crazy. It's not like you ripped the house apart or completely changed the architectural floor plan. You just spruced it up. You painted it, gave it some love, fixed what was broken. Yeah. And then we get to the inside, and look at how pretty that is.
It's a big difference. It was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, but the bedroom was so large, we changed it to a 2-bedroom, 1-bath.
Okay.
So.
Very good. And so how did you decide on what to put into the property other than taking this person's stuff out of it? Because clearly nobody wants to rent a house full of stuff.
Well, when you buy the house, you get comps, and you go through that, and you start looking at, all right, what are other people doing? How does it look? And what are you supposed to keep it?
So you didn't have to get an interior design degree or anything like that? No? Okay. And Lee will cover more of that in this weekend's 2-day. When you're kind of ultimately determining what you're doing to the property, you're not going into this HGTV level. You are just comparing it to what else is in the neighborhood. You want it to be clean and functional. You don't want to break the bank, and you don't want to over-rehab, but you also don't want to under-rehab. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is quite an impressive rehab, though. This is very pretty.
Yeah, it was a nice road show.
Yes, and we thank you for letting us use it on the road trip. Okay, so the numbers on this property. Tell us a little about this. How did you find this property?
Well, you get to know your realtors, and I'd already been to one really bad-looking deal with Greg once, and then this one came up about a week later. So we went and looked at this one, and it's just another wholesale deal, so.
Okay, so a wholesale deal is another word for an off-market property, meaning this isn't something that everybody would have seen on Zillow or MLS. This is something that was sent to our agents, and they were able to pass it along to our members. So you were able to purchase this property for $70,000, but it was worth $175,000 after you did the rehab on it. So after all of that was done, your equity capture was $32,000. So you essentially put $32,000 into your pocket. As soon as you sell the property, it will be in your pocket. Mm-hmm. You rent the property, and that is a market rent of $1,300. So you're making $309 a month. So you have a 12% cash-on-cash return and an equity capture of 105%. So basically, you bought this property and you immediately got all your money back if you were to sell it.
Exactly. And it took a lot to do this. It took 6 months to actually do this. So it was a complete gut on the inside of the house. We had to replace all the electrical, all the plumbing, all the flooring in this house. It was built in the 1930s, so it needed a lot of work to it. But had a lot of faith in my general contractor and talking to my mentors and going and working with them and got it done.
Excellent. And how did you find your tenant?
I think it was talking to my mentors and had Zillow ad, had a Facebook ad, and just worked it through. And
So you didn't have to go post a notice in the local newspaper or go round up somebody?
no, I didn't have to go get the homeless person on the across the street or either. So.
You were able to get a qualified tenant to pay market rent, and they pay your rent, or you pay your mortgage, and then you make money on top of it every single month. That's the way to do it.
Hey, Jillian, can you bring it back a slide?
Sure.
Now, it's been a little while since I've been in San Antonio, but I'm a little surprised. Okay. She puts up a deal where, first of all, you can purchase a house for $70,000. And everybody in the audience goes, okay. And the people up on the stage are like, yeah, it's kind of cool.
We have a very affordable
Right?
cost of living here in San Antonio.
I mean, guys, how many people here think they can buy a house for $70,000? Well, we got some educated people, but everyone else is like, this is insane. Right? So I just want to point that out. I'm going to hype this up a little bit because that's insane. Okay? But the deals are out there. Okay? And I want you guys to know that, especially the new people, right? You look at this and go, you know, the biggest investment I ever make in my life is in a house. And you got people up on a stage going, yeah, I bought a house. Right? You know? Okay, that's number one. Number two, and we kind of glossed over this. I know you hit it, but we kind of glossed over this. $30,000 out of pocket. Equity capture was $32,000, so 105% return the day he closed. You guys understand that? Like, that is exciting. That you should be jumping up out of your chairs, and everyone's like, okay, you know. We'll see how the next one is. Right? Sorry to interrupt, but I had to because you guys are you're very, you know, calm people, and I like that. I do like that. But that's insane. And if these deals are out there, wouldn't you like to do one? Okay, good. Continue.
Absolutely. The secret is you don't just do one, you have to do multiple, so that the real reward is not just seeing these amazing numbers, it's also being able to live the lifestyle that you want, being able to back away from that 9 to 5. That is the true reward. So how has your life changed since joining Lifestyles on this first property? What has this led you to think about?
Well, I mean, it's really, I'm looking, you know, I've got my plan, I've got my roadmap. It is start buying, you know, get as many properties as I can, some houses, get my net worth up, get amount of money, and get into an independent apartment complex.
So you're going to get back into the Cadillac with the Longhorn.
Yeah. Yeah, and retire. Hopefully, you know, I want to retire within the next few years.
Excellent, and you're well on your way. So your short-term goals are purchasing a couple more single families, and then you're looking to possibly become an independent rental owner, which means that you want to independently own a small apartment complex. Obviously retire from the oil field, and then hunt, fish, and travel the U.S.
That's what
Who
the
can
goal is.
get on board with that lifestyle? And along the way, your team was, you had Joey Sullivan for your mentor, Greg Combs with Realty. Greg, can you say hi? Got Greg Combs back there. Had Catalyst Funding and AMP Lending. So you had the whole plethora. Anything you would like to tell anybody out there that's kind of on the fence or thinking about joining Lifestyles? What would separate us from the pack, or what advice would you give a new member?
Don't just do one.
It's addicting.
Go on to the next. I'm already on my second one.
Yes.
And I bought it for $100,000. So they're out there.
They're out there. Does anybody have any questions for Garrett? The question was, it took you 6 months to close on the property, rehab it, whatnot. How long did it take you to find a tenant?
We completed everything, I think it was the first week of February, and right about the middle of February, I already had a qualified person. And so they were moving in March 1st.
So expanding on that, was that because you had the highest rental amount in the neighborhood or the lowest or?
Right in the middle of the market.
Right in the middle, and you had a clean and functional property and it attracted people right away. Perfect.
And guys, we know these numbers before we get into the deal, right? We're not guessing. We're not hoping, right? We know the numbers. We know what rents are going to be. We know what the value is going to be. And I'll teach all that to you this weekend.
Excellent. Another question?
Yes.
So the question is that he also had mentioned wanting to go IRO. What's the motivation of that opposed to a larger like syndication?
My wife didn't trust me. So she definitely doesn't trust me with other people's money. So, so I'm gonna have to go that route for right now. And then maybe we'll get to doing it the other way.
Any other questions? Okay, the question was, I'm sorry, I'm just repeating all the questions for the online audience. The first question was, what was the time difference between the time you closed on the first one to the second one, correct?
So bought this house late September. I was already starting to look in November before I finished the house. Then I held off again, because it was taking so long. And then I think it was in January, we did the road show and looked at this house, and toured my house. And I was going all right. And I was into my next deal before I even finished this house. But it was about a week, My wife did not want me to buy another house until I finished this house.
So full disclosure, as a single family mentor, I'm always going to encourage you on your very first deal to go full cycle. Purchase the property, get a resident in place, have them paying rent before you bite off the next one, because you want to make sure that you understand the full process. If you want to take on a second one immediately after that, that is 100% fine. But at least with your first one, go full cycle so you completely understand the entire process. Any other questions? Do you have any online questions?
Nothing online.
Oh, well, we did such a good job, Garrett.
I did have a question, unless I missed the answer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You had a line item that said other expenses. I wondered if something came up or if there was a story behind that. Other costs.
Oh, that was.
Oh, other costs it was the holding cost, so I had to pay that mortgage every month for the hard money. So that was a little over almost $7,000. There was sheetrock that we didn't calculate that we were going to need it. For a 1930s house, we thought the sheetrock was fine, but no, that was a plaster type deal, and it was flaking. So $5,000 for more sheetrock. And then there was, the outside. I decided that the siding on the outside was not going to be suitable enough to actually help with the after repair value, so I spent another $3,200 putting that in.
And the deal still worked,
Yeah.
even with these unexpected expenses that popped up, because when you ran your numbers, you ran them conservatively, and so you knew where your breaking point would be. So when there is something that pops up, we make sure that we know how much of a cushion we have so that our rehab is still sustainable. Excuse me. Yep. Well, the 32 is the closing cost, which would have been factored in as well as the hard money holding cost. There was a couple. He said there was $7,000 in additional.
And $7,082, another $5,000.
So the $7,000 was the hard money. So $5,072 for additional rehab. So
Yeah. So
have you ever tried to get contractors to come work during the holidays?
electrical. It was CPS Energy. We had to replace the meter box, and scheduling that took, I think, 4 to 6 weeks to get that scheduled.
Plus, this would have been November, December timeframe. So Did you use vendors on the vendor list, or did you find your
No,
own
I
people?
had my own general contractor, and so I was relying on that general contractor. I had met him, and so I had great confidence in him, and but I was always talking with my mentors about it. Oh yeah, he's already working on my second house. Did you see the quality of work that house was?
It's a beautiful house.
So. Yeah, it was, you have to think, we tore it down to the studs almost. So it was all, and really it was the electrical. And so we're not going to use that electrical subcontractor again. So I guarantee you that. But it was the CPS Energy and trying to get that scheduled because we had to remove that meter box. And so that took a lot of time. So.
And if you ever have a contractor that says, let's not pull permits, don't use that contractor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The question was, how is there a way to facilitate moving utilities quicker and permits, I'm assuming? The easiest way is to have your contractor pull permits up front, pass inspections, do things correctly, and usually it falls into place. There are definitely times where there's some overlap or some miscommunication, and then obviously sometimes holidays and whatnot can cause delays as well. But we're kind of at the mercy of the city and the powers that be if we're going through the permitting process. And I'm not trying to scare everybody out the permitting process. Let's also talk about the importance of it, because you're paying a contractor thousands and thousands of dollars to fix your property. You want to have the peace of mind and confidence that it's done correctly, so that when you go to sell the home, you're selling a safe and functional home. And when somebody has their inspection report done, everything is done correctly so you can sell it with peace of mind. So it is a good necessary evil.
Yeah, it came down to the timeline. We scheduled it the first part of November, but Thanksgiving falls right there. Mm-hmm. So it didn't happen until a week or two after Thanksgiving. So that's just one of them things. It's a scheduling issue.
Nobody does anything from Thanksgiving to January 1st. Any other questions? Well, can we give Garrett a giant round of applause? Thank you so much, Garrett.